This is Viterbi Voices.
Coming to you from the University of Southern California, Viterbi School of Engineering.
We're here to give you the inside scoop on research, classes, student life, and so much more.
All of these shared by students, faculty, alumni, and other members of the USC community. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to an episode of the Viterbi Voices podcast. I'm your co-host, Safi Patel. I'm a senior in computer science, and I'm doing my master's in engineering management. Today, Paul unfortunately cannot be with us because he is traveling to different admission events around Asia. I think he might be in Beijing right now. I could be wrong about that. But instead, we have another surprise co-host. His name is Jake Gregorian. Jake, would you like to introduce yourself? Tell us a little about your involvements, what you do at USC.
Absolutely. My name is Jake Forgosh. I'm a sophomore here at USC studying computer science as well. In terms of involvement, I'm part of Lava Lab, which is our premier startup incubator here on campus, as well as I'm in Quant SC, which is our quantitative finance club. I'm also a Viterbi student ambassador, and I'm also a face-off specialist for the USC lacrosse team.
Whoa, I didn't know you're on lacrosse too. Oh, I guess that makes sense about what your episode kind of covers today. Would you like to tell the
Right.
guests a little bit about what you talked about, who you interviewed, what they can kind of expect from the episode?
Absolutely, yeah. So I interviewed a current teammate of mine, Alex, who's also another Viterbi student ambassador. He's also studying computer engineering and computer science. And we really found a lot of common ground because we are studying the exact same thing and we play the same sport. We're both really involved in athletics and clubs and leadership. And so we're really just talking about our experience with balancing all those different things. And especially since we were used to the whole routine of practices and going to lifts and whatever that may be, alongside carrying what's pretty much one of the hardest degrees you can do in undergrad. We like to just break down what works well for us, what our strategies have been, and what we want to do going forward as well.
Totally. That's really cool. And I'm sure a lot of the incoming students or students that are applying are definitely going to be interested in that, especially because I feel like a lot of students are really involved in their sports in high school. And once they get to college, it kind of falls off and they don't really know how to keep up with it. Was some lacrosse something you also played in high school?
It is, yeah. I mean, I started playing my senior year, halfway through actually in January. My friends really just got me into it as school started to kind of come to a close. But I really fell in love with the game. I'm very thankful for my friends that got me into it. They made me really enjoy the sport. I found a new passion of mine, truly. I practiced a lot over the summer, and by the time I got to USC in the fall, I was ready to join the lacrosse team and play in tournaments, play against other colleges, travel, and all the great things that come with being on a college sports team.
So you joined your freshman year?
I did.
How was that process? I feel like as a freshman, getting all your involvements, the first couple weeks of school is so daunting. I know when I first got here as a transfer and I was applying to different clubs, I did not know what was going on at all. I was way in over my head, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think a big thing with, uh, especially with involvement in general, is apply to everything. For the lacrosse team at least, I was very active in reaching out to everyone, because I just really wanted to do this. And I wanted as much information as I could. I was DMing the Instagram account, I found the email, I contacted them, went to there's a club breakfast, and then at some point I just saw a practice going on and I just walked onto the field and I saw a coach on the sideline, like, look, I want to join the team. What do I have to do? And he gave me his phone number, we talked, and that was that. And in terms of clubs, a very similar process. I just looked around, went to club fairs, saw what clubs there are relating to my major and what I'm interested in, found the people to contact, applied just about all of them. And the ones I got into, I decided, this semester I want to prioritize these two clubs. The next semester I'll maybe do these other two. And I would say the main thing is really just not being scared to try new things.
Mm.
There's nothing you aren't capable of. I'll put it that way. Right. And as long as you're willing to put yourself forward, no matter how qualified you think you are, there will always be a time where showing effort and dedication and consistency will get you very far. And I
Totally.
truly believe in that.
Yeah, I get that. I feel like especially in the clubs here, they just want to see almost like demonstrated effort to see your interest, to see that you're going to be
Yep,
committed. Because
100%.
if you're at a school like USC, like there's a solid bet that like most people are going to like know the the technical skills and have the other skills you're looking for. But if it really comes down to commitment and how involved you're going to be in the club throughout your time here at USC. Totally. Um, I don't want to take too much away from the rest
Definitely.
of the episode, so we can jump straight into the lovely interview you have for us today.
Welcome to the first episode of the Viterbi Student Ambassadors podcast. I'm Jake Grigorian with my guest, Alex Forgosh.
Yo.
Today, we are going to be talking about how to balance a computer science or computer engineering and science major with sports, social life, clubs, recruitment, and any other external activities besides just your degree program. And so, for a little bit about ourselves, like I said, my name is Jake. I'm a sophomore studying computer science here at USC. In terms of clubs and involvement, I'm part of Lava Lab here, which is our premier startup incubator. Alex is also in that. He can mention more about that later. I'm also a part of Quant SC, our quantitative finance club here, where we use Python, C++, and other ideas in computer science to trade stocks and other equities. And as well, on top of that, I'm also in the USC lacrosse team, where I play as a face-off specialist. And I'm also a Viterbi student ambassador and also part of ACM, the Association of Computing Machinery.
Nice. I didn't know you did Quant SC. That's new information. It's cool.
Yeah, no, it's really great. I mean, I was doing it was basically kind of like Lava last semester where we had a project and we were just doing it
Oh,
at the
it's
same
sick.
time. Uh, it was a bigger group though. It was like 8 people instead of the
Mhm.
four, but yeah, no, it was really good though.
Oh, it's cool. I mean to look more into that. So again, for some context, my name's Alex. I am a junior at USC, studying computer engineering and computer science. Um, I have a lot of the same involvement as Jake, but there's a lot of overlap. So I played freshman year for the USC lacrosse team. Last year, I didn't really play. I raced for our ski team instead, which I'll get into more. I'm currently the director of product management for Lava Lab, which means I run a curriculum to introduce people in Lava Lab to what it means to be a product manager on a startup. I'm involved in a couple other clubs. I'm also a Retriever student ambassador, and most importantly, I think it's uh, important that we spend some time today talking about how to balance the athletics, the recruitment, the classwork with also having fun, making friends, taking some time to relax. So I guess kind of jumping into that, um, what have been your priorities, Jake, like on campus? Like what do you care about?
So, right, absolutely. Obviously, definitely degree comes first. We're all here to study. At the end of the day, it's still university. And so definitely getting classes done, making sure all that's fine. But at the same time, it's not like if I don't get every single thing done, like it's not like my classes are my be all end all. But definitely in terms of like a broader long-term goal, definitely obviously getting the degree, graduating, pursuing maybe a PDP, getting a master's as well. That's definitely up there. But I definitely did recognize very early on, thankfully through clubs and meeting people like you and other great people in the clubs, that there is a lot more to a computer science degree than just your curriculum. Everyone takes data structures and C++ and whatnot, but in terms of actually having priorities, definitely going to be overall degree program on top. Also making sure that clubs are on point, so joining all the clubs I can, reaching out to people, networking, internships as well, projects, research. More about being a cohesive person as opposed to someone who's very one-dimensional. I think that's definitely been the priority for me, at least.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Having that well-rounded background, especially coming into USC when you're just starting off. For me, when I came in as a freshman, the most important part about those first semesters were keeping myself as broad as possible, right? I tried to not lock myself into any clubs and really just push like my time horizon on like what I could get involved with and still remain healthy. And I think as much as it is important to have a healthy balance, get sleep, get food, I'm really glad that I took the time to push myself and try as many things as I did. I'm curious to see if you think that's a good strategy, or if you feel like it's important to get involved deeply in stuff at first and then branch out afterwards.
I would definitely say that you kind of can't do one without the other. I mean, you kind of have to start somewhere, especially when you're in a brand new environment coming from high school to here. It would be that you don't want to limit yourself too early. And I think that's definitely something I'm very happy I did not do, especially this last year. I applied to every single club, right? I mean, if I heard it was a CS club, I applied. I mean, whatever it was, I saw someone applying. I asked them, like, yo, what's Lava Lab? Yo, it's a startup incubator. I don't even know what a startup incubator meant, but I still applied to it. And so being very open-minded and just applying to everything, that's what really allowed me to excel, because I don't have any kind of preconceived notions or judgments of what I like and don't like. Because realistically, I don't have super deep experience of something that I just learned about.
Mhm.
So I think definitely start broad, apply to everything. And then so for me, right, it came down to deciding which clubs I wanted to do,
Right.
because I got into more than I can handle, right? But for this past semester, I realized, okay, I want to get into the startup space and potentially the quantitative finance space as well. So those are the two I'm going to pick.
Yeah, so I think that's a good point.
And yeah, I mean, that was the main deal, that at the end of the day, it's better to do a few things well and really understand, hey, do I like this or not? Or try and do six different things, get a very surface level understanding. And at the end of the day, you didn't even learn anything
Mhm.
about any of it.
Mhm. Yeah, and I want to piggyback off that and say it's not all about the like quote unquote organizational involvement, right? Especially as CS students and computer engineering students, it's important for us to spend some time doing projects. It sounds silly, but like having a little bit of space in your life, whether it's with a team or by yourself, to build something as an engineer is really the most useful thing that you can get out of an engineering curriculum. Apply what you learn in the classroom, whatever it is. Like it could be as simple as like, you're taking E250 and want to make like a little security. You can just spend time doing that.
This is Becky with a short message. I will be at the Discover USC in Honolulu, Hawaii on Saturday, September 14th. Make sure to register at viterbi.link/events. That's viterbi.link/events. I will join my colleagues in the Office of Admission to share more about our engineering and computer science programs. I hope to see you there.
Definitely. I mean, yeah, like you mentioned, really get into the projects. I mean, whether that be through class, through a club, whatever it is. I think the main thing and the main philosophy I like to live by is be open to everything. And once you're in something, go all the way. The last thing you want to do is try something new and regret not being able to do it because you didn't give it your all. And I think a big part of that is not imposing limitations on yourself.
Yeah.
I think everyone's
Oh, good.
a lot more capable of doing things than they think they are. And people think, oh my God, like, this is so hard. I can't balance this. Might it be too much? It might be, right? But you'll never know unless you try, right? So, I mean, I didn't know what the time commitment of lava was going to look like when I applied, or what the quant club was going to look like, or the lacrosse was going to look like. But these were all things I wanted to try and see, like, okay, could I feasibly make it work? And, it did. And I'm very happy it did. And I have no regrets over my decisions to pursue those clubs and also play lacrosse and also take computer science classes. It worked out very well in my favor because, I figured out I could do this. And so rather be limited by just thinking I couldn't do it, going out there and just trying it was the best thing I could have done.
Yeah, I think that's some good points. I kind of want to get deeper into it. So I can spend some time talking about how I handle the commitments. Then I want to hear about your strategies, right? So
Absolutely.
my main things are I have the classwork. I run a small startup that builds tracking technology for firefighters. I work for a company that builds nuclear reactors. And then, my biggest other commitment outside of ski and lacrosse is, my Lava Lab time. And I guess VSA work too. So, throwing all those things together kind of gets daunting, and it means that I don't have a lot of free time. But the way that I manage it is I block my time out, right? So my calendar is like my little Bible. I block out
Yep.
pretty much every hour of my day. I try and make sure that I have a little bit of time for sleep and for some fun on the weekends. But the first thing that I'll block out is my sleep time, right? So I want to make sure that I'm getting enough sleep for the week. And sometimes that's 6 hours, sometimes that's 7 or 8, ideally. And then
Yep.
I'll
Yep.
block my class time because that's important to me. And then from there, I'll block out, okay, I'm going to be on call for work these hours, and then sports these hours, and blah blah these hours. And so that's kind of my strategy, and it's been my strategy. And it's a little tedious on the front end, but it saves you so much time and effort in figuring out, like, oh my god, how am I going to make this assignment work? Like you have a lot of time, and I think that um, another added benefit is a task I found always expands to meet the time it's allotted. So if I give myself an hour to do something, it'll take an hour. That same task, if I give myself like 3 hours, it would take 3 hours. So that's been my strat. But I'm really curious, like, how do you keep everything straight? How do you keep everything organized?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be the calendar again. I use Apple Calendar. I know some people like Google. I like Apple because it syncs across my phone and my
Yep,
MacBook and
absolutely.
also my iPad. So it just makes things easy. I know Google does something similar, but I just like Apple's interface. Uh, but definitely, color coding things, just schedule things in advance, and really just make sure things are clean. And when everything's planned out, you don't have to think about what you have to do. Like it's just written right there. Instead of having to think, oh wait, like do I have an assignment due? Do I have something to do? If you just block out a time, for example, let's say like 2, 3 hours to just specifically work on, your coding assignment. Well, that time's already blocked. You don't have to worry about getting your homework done because that time's already taken out. Or like you said, right, if you got a club commitment or practices or whatever. And even I like the idea of blocking out sleep. I don't do that personally, but I really like that idea. Things that you need to get done and that you have to do regardless, right? Why not help yourself out and help your future self out by just writing everything out anyway? Right? Maybe keep a Google Doc. What I like to do is I have a pinned Google Doc on
Ooh,
my browser, and it just lists everything,
that's
right? So it's
good.
by sections. So like I have my class, by like internship
Hmm.
application, interviews, club, whatever it might be, right? And I
Yeah,
just write it all out. And what I'm trying to do now, I'm trying to find a way if I can sync the doc with my calendar. So like if I erase something off my calendar, it gets out of the doc. It might be kind of hard to do because one's Google, one's Apple. But that could be a fun little project.
I like that though.
But
I
a lot of
Good,
it,
good, good.
yeah, go ahead.
Uh,
A lot of it is just finding what
yeah.
works for you. I mean, the Google Doc idea, I realized like, okay, look, I need a notes app that works in my
Mhm.
browser because I'm doing everything in my browser, right? So a little Google Doc that just has everything listed by section. I just started doing this because it just made it easier. Like, because I keep getting confused with like all the different platforms, like especially last
Mhm.
semester. Some assignments would be on one site, some would be on
Oh yeah.
Blackboard. This time they're on Brightspace. Like one would be on Blackboard, one would be on Codio, one would be on Piazza. It's like there's so much to check, and like the last thing you want is to just get a zero on an assignment just like you forgot to put it there, right? So putting it all in one place and then having a time scheduling thing, I would say that's the main thing. Because at the end of the day, I think everyone has a lot more time than they think they do. Because a lot of times we spend, and again, I'm very guilty of this myself. Sometimes I'll just spend time not the most efficient way possible. And again, everyone's human, right? There's no one's a perfect robot that can do everything. But why not be the best person that you could be for yourself, right? If your potential is someone who could be able to balance sports and clubs and degrees and whatever, why not be that person?
Yeah. No, absolutely. I'm more analog than that. I go with a pencil and paper for my checklists. I don't know what it
That's
is, but
perfect.
obviously it's less integrated, but just something I've done since I was a kid. And I have a big old notebook, and I take every day. When I sit down for work, I'll open it up, write up the things I got to do. Something about like the act of writing it down too helps me, remember it. And then it's kind of silly, but like I think my mind is kind of like a sieve, right? Like a lot of stuff gets lost with it
Yeah.
that stick. Of things that I really need to get done, and it's worked so far. It's not the most elegant solution, but tries to keep me straight. Um,
Yeah. I mean, if it
how
works,
much
it
how
works.
much sleep do you get? Because I don't. have an idea of how much sleep other people are getting, but I know I'm not getting enough. You know?
So here's something I've noticed, right? Well, first to answer it, I would say I definitely try and get at least eight to
Hmm.
nine every day. I got lucky this semester. My classes start decently late, so like around 10 or
That's lit.
11. So even if I go to bed like pretty late at like 1 or 2, which is like, on the off chance that
Yeah.
happens, I'm still sleeping at least like
Hmm.
8 hours ish. But ideally, like, I go to bed around midnight and then I'll wake up at maybe an hour before class, so maybe 9
Yeah.
or 10, whatever that might look like. I definitely think that sleep is very
Oh my
underrated
God.
because in my experience, you will be better off on any exam if you sleep more than you
Hmm.
study.
I'm with that.
Right. I mean, I will take studying for 2 hours and sleeping like 12 over studying 8 and sleeping 6. There's just something about being fully well rested and forget like the long-term health benefits. Like if you're just purely focused on just your individual
Hmm.
performance, like it sleeps like it's like a miracle. Like it's like a super drug almost. It's like a super serum. I don't even know how to explain it. It's really amazing, and I can't emphasize enough. And again, there are days where like, there's just so much stuff to do. You're just up late doing things. That's fine, right? And that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But for example, right, if you got 30 days in a month, ideally you've only got maybe 5 to 6, maybe a week of those days max, right? Being able to prioritize sleep is definitely something very important because it makes your waking hours easier. Like if normally something would take you 2 hours to do, right? And then you stack that up over the 5 tasks you have to do throughout the day. Imagine if you could be like 20 to 30% more efficient in everything you did. And the only thing you have to do to get to that level of efficiency is just sleep a little bit more. So like, yeah, you technically lose an hour, right? By having to go to bed a bit earlier, or maybe 2 hours.
Hmm.
But then everything else you do gets quicker.
Right.
So you're kind of getting that time back and you feel better and you're healthier, you
Right.
know? So I mean, it's something that's very important and something I feel is not very emphasized, especially in engineering as a whole.
Yeah. It's almost like there's like a badge of honor you wear when you talk about like how little sleep you get, you know? Um,
Yeah,
definitely,
exactly.
definitely a toxic part of the culture. But I will say Viterbi's
100%.
like better than other schools in terms of work-life balance, work-sleep
Definitely.
balance, maybe.
Definitely.
But yeah, it's definitely a concern point. I mean, I've always been bad about getting sleep. Like my job is on the East Coast, so I get up at 5 for work, and
There you
oh
go.
my God, is it like the worst sometimes? Like there have been days like where I'll go to sleep at like 1 and then have to get up for work, and that is just awful. Um,
Yeah. I
but
can only imagine.
yeah, I try not to do that. But I will say, like, another thing that's big for me is uh, trying to be active. And I know you're on the same wavelength for this, but beyond sleep for me, beyond like how much I'm working, like even if I'm getting enough sleep, if I'm not active in a day, I don't think that I'm on my best. Like I don't think that I can perform
Yep.
well. So I'm curious, you like do
Yep.
something every day that you do to try and stay active? Do you have a strat for getting out there?
Oh yeah, definitely. So I mean, obviously, going to the gym definitely helps.
Hmm.
I go twice a week on Mondays, Fridays. I don't have much class. In terms of daily exercise, what I like to do is right before I go to bed, I'll actually I'll take my lacrosse stick and I'll just go hit the wall
Oh, that's
for a
interesting.
good 30 minutes in the village. And it's like the last thing I'll do every day, right? Because it's just kind of like a little bit of
Hmm.
just pure me time, but it's also without a screen,
Right,
right? Because I'm used to like, I mean, every coding assignment's on my
right.
computer. If I'm interviewing, it's on a computer. If I'm working on my project, it's on a computer, right? So you need a bit of time both away from the computer, but also just to yourself.
Hmm.
So what I'll do is, I'll just grab my bag. There's a wall, I think, what was it? By Cowlings, behind Cowlings.
Yeah,
Like a
by the
big field.
dumpsters. Is that what you're talking about?
And yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
By the dumpsters.
yeah.
Even at night, there's a big light
Right,
right there. So it's
exactly.
bright. And I'll just go pass against the wall
Hmm.
for like 20, 30 minutes. Just listen to music or maybe not.
Yeah, that's a
It
that's a
get
good
it gets you
spot.
moving, right? I mean, you're passing, arms are moving, ball runs, you got to get after it. There's grass there if you want to, go drills or whatnot. But
Right.
that little bit of guaranteed exercise and time I know I have
Hmm.
to myself, just like, relax, unwind, whatever. It's great. I mean, it's amazing physically because it gets me moving. It's great mentally because, it's just some time to myself. Think about, what do I have to do tomorrow that's
Right.
important? What do I do today that's important? Whatever it might be. or also just to chill. I mean, like I don't have to be thinking about things
Mm.
all the time. Like I just want to go. I just want to play a bit of
Wall
lacrosse.
ball's really nice because it's meditative. You get in a repetitive
Exactly.
rhythm. You don't
Exactly.
have to be thinking about anything
Yep.
because you're so focused on
Yep.
the task. And
Yep.
I really like that about wall ball.
You nailed
That
it.
and
You nailed it.
I used to live in Kale, so I would hang out in the village a lot. And there's the turf patch that I'll hang out and do. I
Oh,
do
that's a good
just
one.
ground ball drills there. Take a couple balls, run it
That's
out.
perfect
But
too. Yeah.
yeah, I mean for me, I live way north of campus now. Um, and like my day, like I'll get up. I'm really thankful. Our house, we brought a weight rack. So
Okay.
every morning I'll work, and then maybe like after an hour or two of work, I work remote, so maybe two like after an hour or two of work, I'll go for a run and then
Yep.
hit the weights with one of my roommates. And then like that's my day. And I think
Yeah. That's great.
working out in the morning is tough because you're tired a little bit the rest of the day, but I think it just gets
Yep.
you like, yeah, I think it just gets me straight. Like once I worked out and I've had a shower, like I'm ready, you know. Um,
Yeah.
I think that's just me.
Hey everyone, this is Paul. Sorry for the interruption, but I wanted to let you know about a new feature we just unlocked. It's about sending us questions or comments via text. If you go to your podcast player, check the show notes. There's a link there that says send us a question or comment. It may be on our next episode. So go in there, send us a little quick text message. Let us know what your questions are. Let us know what your comments are. We'd love to hear from you. So we can't wait to see it. Now, back to the episode.
Oh, dude, absolutely. I mean, yeah, I commend you for getting up early to lift after you work too, or maybe before you work even. That's definitely
Like
something
it's
difficult.
harder and harder, bro.
I mean, you wake up just to put yourself through physical pain.
Getting sleepy for sure. But so do you have any other tips and tricks that you want to pass on to incoming fraternity students?
Oh, definitely. I'm gonna say the one thing, and for class at
Mhm.
least, your professor gonna tell you this too, but just start early
Oh
on
yeah.
everything.
Oh my God.
Because just think about it, right? The amount of times I've looked at an assignment, and be like, oh, dude, it's only like 3 problems, or like, it doesn't look that hard to implement this function or whatever. And then I start implementing. It's like, dude, why is there so much stuff to do for
Yep.
this? And like, and I'm sure you've had the same experience, like
Yeah.
like coding your own startup
Hmm.
or whatever it might be. It's like, oh, dude, like I just have to implement like some graphs or whatever,
Yeah.
right? Like it can't be that difficult. And then as you're doing it, oh wait, no, this library doesn't work. Oh, but to get this library to work, you got to get this framework. But that framework doesn't work with your database. It's a complete mess
Right.
for something so small. So the quicker you figure out what that mess is going to be, because like 95 times out of 100, you're going to have a mess involved somewhere.
Hmm.
The quicker you figure out what that mess is, you want to give yourself enough time to fix that, right? Especially for coding assignments.
Right.
You will see something, it's like, oh, all you have to do is just, reverse this thing or implement this data structure.
Hmm.
It's not that easy most of the
As
time.
a
There's a reason why I'll give you like 2 weeks to do the homework.
right. As a general rule, for planning out any project, um, the first 90% takes exactly as long as the last 10%. So just keep that in mind. Like if you feel like, oh, like
I
I
like
only
that.
have a little bit left to do, like you do not have a little bit left to do. You have quite a bit left to do. Is
Yep.
my general axiom, Um, and even then, I
I like
violate that
that.
all the time. Like I'm doing that today. Like there's an assignment due tonight that I was like, oh, like I'm almost done. I'll push it off. Do as I say, not as
No,
I do. But
yeah, it's a lot easier. Yeah, you're
for
right.
real.
That's the whole deal.
Um,
No, but I mean, yeah, I mean, again, look, things are gonna happen though.
right.
I mean, things are gonna pop up. You're gonna have assignments. They're just gonna pile up. Something's gonna come up. It's like, oh, like I gotta go to this meeting or this interview.
Mhm.
But like, you still got that assignment to do. At the end of the day, right? Getting things done. It's more about just actually doing it than how you do it, right?
Right.
Don't overcomplicate the process. I know some people get a little too caught up in the whole organization thing too, right? And at
Yeah,
that
oh
point,
my
that's
gosh.
counterproductive as well. They'll
People,
have like a Notion doc that's
yes,
color coded,
yes,
and
the Notion mania.
it'll like have a bunch. It's like at that point, like, dude, what are you doing?
Yes,
Like you've spent more time thinking about what you're gonna do than just do the actual thing.
yes,
Like just do the thing.
yeah. People go
Thinking
crazy.
about doing the thing is not doing the thing.
Yes. Find a simple system that works for you and then just get it done. And I think
Yeah.
Well, I mean, right now kids are going through college apps, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, the
Yeah.
biggest, I mean, oh my God, I don't even want to think about college apps. But the thing about college
That
apps is
was,
like just
yeah.
do the work on the front end, like it goes to the do the assignment
Yep.
early, like just write the essays as early as you can and then spend the time
Yep.
later on, like, stressing about the details.
100%.
Oh my God, dude, I never want to write another college essay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Glad that's behind us.
yeah,
But
thank God.
for for those of you that are though,
Yes.
my piece of advice would be to, if you're gonna write, for example, like your main common app essay or supplementals,
Mhm.
don't break up your sessions for writing one specific essay.
Mm,
Right. I know some people, again, this will always work for me. What some people like to do, and again, this applies to any task. Uh, let's just say you have to write like a 250-word supplemental. Don't write the first paragraph and then come back and write the second paragraph later.
Snaps.
Write all of it at once,
Yes,
right? Or like for a homework assignment, do the entire assignment at once
absolutely.
because you'll get into kind of like a flow of how things work. And again, you can come back and revise or review it later.
Right.
Maybe you got a new idea or something like that. When you write out the entire thing, you have the feeling of, okay, I have it done. Or like if I need to submit this now, I can.
Mhm.
Right. So that gives you a lot of, kind of mental safety. You feel very accomplished. You feel good, right? Like I got this task done. And then if you want to improve it, right, and you probably will. I mean, nothing's good the first time, first draft. You have that option as well.
Right. I mean, writing from the beginning to the end of something allows you to walk away and then come back and see a total picture. And if you don't like the picture, then that's fine. But like if you're writing and revising each line as you go, you're never going to have a cohesive story because you're going to focus on the
Right.
sentence before. You're going to you're going to paint each line without knowing like where you're ending up or going. Like it's important in the drafting process to have total commitment to the draft you're on, finish it, take like an hour, 20 minutes, walk away from it, let your mind reset, and then read it with fresh eyes. Um,
Definitely.
I think the essay process also should be something that you should try and enjoy, rather than like dread. If you look forward, if you can trick yourself into looking forward to writing these essays, because it takes you a step closer to getting to college, like frame it that way rather than framing it as like, oh my God, I have so much to do. I can't like I'm so behind, whatever. Like frame it as like you're making incremental progress towards a big goal. Was something that was really important for me, like that mindset switch of like, oh shit, I have to apply to like 20 colleges. Um, whereas you can frame
Yep.
it as like, I get to apply to these colleges. So I'd recommend do that. And also apply to USC because we're the best.
Oh yeah, there you go. Can't forget that. No, I like that idea though of, looking forward to doing things even if you don't want to do them.
Right.
So at the end of the day, it is mental.
Yes.
Like you're gonna you're gonna do the application or you're not. You're either gonna do the assignment or you're not.
Right.
So if you know you're gonna do it, right? Like if you know you have to turn this thing
Mm.
in, it doesn't matter what the actual thing is. If you know you have to do something, ultimately you only control how you view that
Right.
thing.
Absolutely.
Right. So if you're gonna have to do something anyway, why not have a mindset that just helps you do it?
Right.
Like you will never benefit from thinking you can't do something.
Absolutely.
Like ever. There is zero circumstances, and you can definitely relate to this as well with everything you've done in your life up to this point. If you thought you couldn't do something, that would never have helped you.
Right. Right.
If you thought you couldn't make your own startup, or you couldn't work with, that nuclear company, or you couldn't be on the ski team and do computer engineering, if you thought you couldn't do any of that, how would that ever have helped you?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think
It would,
that's something
you
you
know?
totally want. Yeah, I think it's some solid advice so far. Any parting thoughts
Yeah.
for the young Viterbis?
I would definitely say that, like I mentioned towards the beginning, you are capable of more than you think you are.
Mhm.
And I think this is something that people don't realize till later on. I see Paul, the guy who manages us, the executive director,
Right.
he's very always about, you know, go do things,
Mhm.
right? Like, you can do things. You're here for a reason. You are capable. There's a lot of truth to his statements.
Right.
And when you start to think about it, it's like, it goes back to the thing of you never benefit from thinking you can't do something. If you are able to do anything you think of wanting to do, what's stopping you from doing it? Like if you can see yourself doing something, if you can imagine yourself doing something, whether that be doing something other people told you couldn't do,
Mhm.
right? Someone said, "Oh no, there's no way you could be an engineer and, maybe run a club or join a fraternity or do whatever."
Mhm.
There's never something that someone else could tell you that could actually change how capable you are. I'll put it
Right.
that way.
Right. I think an engineering mindset is all about seeing a problem, seeing an issue, seeing a barrier, and saying, I can fix that. Like be a beaver. see a see
Yep.
a flowing body of water and say, not on my watch. You know what I mean? So as long as you put your mind to something, you will be able to figure it out. And if you don't know how to
Yep.
do something or you don't know the answer to a question, um, I think be the person who knows how to find the answer or who will find the answer, right? Um,
Mhm.
because you're not going to know everything. You're not going to know how to do almost it. You're not going to know how to be a quant until you go and convince someone that you have the capability to learn, and you convince them to teach you.
Yep.
You're not, and I mean, Jake came in the Lava Lab as a software developer as a freshman, which is really rare, right? And he was able to convince us that he was capable of doing work that most of the other kids in Viterbi and at USC couldn't do. And he was absolutely right, because he had that drive to make it work. So if you're committed to making something work, it will work out. You just got to push, you know?
Absolutely. And speaking on the Lava Lab experience, I'd say a big part of it is surrounding yourself with people who are both doing things that they want to actually do and are also motivating you to do well as well. I
That's a
mean, when
good
I
point.
first got there, uh, again, freshman in college, so this was my first time ever in a collegiate environment. And now in a club where, I'm surrounded by super smart people. I mean, everyone there was literally a genius.
Mhm.
I mean, people, they'd been interning at like Apple and Google, like just everything, master students, people who had just done incredible things, right? And so now there as a freshman, it's like, okay, there's always a little bit of imposter syndrome when you're in a new environment because you think, okay, do I actually deserve to be here? But
Mhm.
then when I started to see people like you and Brian and just all of eBoard really be like, look, there's a reason why we picked you guys to be here. And forget the picking part. It's like the fact that you can even get this far through all like the rounds of interviews and whatever else,
Mhm.
that's enough to prove to yourself that that's all you need.
Right.
I remember, I think it was Reagan. Yeah. Reagan was telling the dev, she's like, look, if you guys got this far, there's nothing you can do dev wise, startup wise, founding, or just anything that you can't do. She's like, I mean, we really put you guys through the ringer. And I mean, trust me, Aditya was roasting my dev challenge.
Hmm.
But I think the thing is that encouragement was a huge part of it. I mean, if it wasn't for people like you and Brian and just all of eBoard telling me and just telling everyone there that, look, you guys are capable. You can do amazing things. And, Manya's speeches at the end
Mhm.
of, just end of cohort, but also just during cohort as well, and especially Chris Pramana, his little lectures. I mean, those things were just, they were amazing. I mean, like, I
Right.
was completely new to the startup space. And and I remember Chris had this very good line. Forget remember, he would always say, uh, do things that don't scale. But he would
Yes.
always say, uh, he would always mention that everything that's ever been done around, and I think he was
Mm.
quoting either Steve Jobs or someone else, but I remember he would bring this up a lot. Everything that's ever been done around you was done by people no smarter than you.
Right.
So like when he was talking about like how Airbnb and DoorDash started, he's like, look, these guys are just college students like you, right? They just had an issue and they fixed like these guys aren't some like magical, mystical computer science wizards. They're just normal people, right? Everyone ever has just been a human being.
Right. Right.
The
Absolutely.
reason they could excel is because their environment was so good. Those guys who started those companies were super motivated,
Mhm.
and the people they surround themselves with were super motivated and accomplished. So it's a really good positive feedback loop.
Right.
If you come in with a mentality that yes, I can do literally anything I want to do, no matter what that may be, and then you find other people who think the same way, and you find other people who've already done what they've wanted to do, you can genuinely do whatever you want. And I firmly believe that.
Absolutely. I think we've left them with a lot to think about. I hope. Um,
Yeah.
as a parting goodbye, we hope anyone in the LA area is not too affected by heat stroke, but we'd love to see
Oh
you
yeah,
all apply.
that's a
We
problem right now.
we hope you enjoyed this podcast, and we'd love to see you come back here for more.
And we're back. Thank
Um,
you, Jake, for hosting that lovely episode. It was really cool to hear about all your experience balancing CS, internships, sports, all of the above. I think the guests would love to hear a little bit more about the project you worked on in Lava Lab if you have time to tell us about it.
Absolutely. So in Lava Lab, the way it works is your cohort is 28 students and is divided into 14 developers, which is the people who write the code. I was one of them. 7 product managers who essentially pitch the product at every meeting and will pitch the product on the final demo day, as well as 7 designers who create the designs for the actual app. They create the presentations and Figma mockups and all that. And so each team is 2 developers, 1 PM, and 1 designer. And so my team, we were focused on building an app for social media analytics, specifically for short form content creators. So that includes Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, and we're even trying to expand to Snapchat's Explore page and any other short form content that there may be. Our main goal with it is to essentially give businesses who are selling their products on these online platforms, mainly TikTok, a way to essentially have analytics on all the creators that they pay to post videos for them, right? And so the way it works is, say you are selling some product, right? Let's just say you're selling glasses. You will pay me and let's just say 10 other ambassadors to start posting videos about your glasses. And since you're paying us, we want to make sure, we're actually posting good quality content. We're getting views, we're getting followers, we're doing everything right. We basically have a software that replaces current brand managers, which are humans that will actually go through and search through every single creator and aggregate data. We have software that does it all for you. You just enter the creators at once, and it does all of that data searching. It has historical data, has graphs, visualizations, images, just about everything you would need to know everything about your creators. And it's really been working well for our clients that we've got. And we've only been getting positive feedback, and it's just been growing ever since we continued it after, the semester ended.
Oh, how did the continual process go? Like did you find investors or like how did you keep it going after the semester ended?
So after the semester, and actually, so our product manager, she was a senior, so she graduated, and the other dev, he had his own, things he needed to do over the summer. So essentially, me and my designer, we decided, hey, we're just going to continue this on our own. We already had found one client during the semester through our, just user interviews and just product searching. And then as the months went on, we essentially rebuilt the app because we started getting a lot more growth. And we didn't get any, we didn't really see a need for any investors yet. Everything
Mhm.
we needed to do, we could afford on our own. And we had enough skill sets and everything. Really efficient software was our goal to keep growing with clients. And so, we started with 1, then we got up to like 5, and now we're at 10. And very recently, we hit 40 clients. We're tracking over 850 creators,
Oh, wow.
and across all those creators, about 30,000-ish posts, a little more than that.
Dang, that's
So honestly,
crazy.
because our main goal was making really good quality software that wouldn't need to rely on a lot of money to host a database, host a server, host analytics. Because we wrote the software, we essentially rebuilt it from Lava Lab just to make sure we're ready to handle more growth.
Mhm.
I would say that's the main thing. Writing good software, we're future proof, honestly. And so for more clients that come, we're ready for them. And
That's so
we've
cool.
been tracking ever since. Data's been compiling. Our database is going strong. Server's going strong. No crashes. We've only been getting positive feedback, and it's just been a great experience overall.
That sounds like an awesome project. Was that the main thing you were working on throughout the summer too?
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely one of the main things. I've also been doing research work at Caltech as well. This has been a continuing process. I started in high school, and it's been going on till now. My work specifically deals with computational astrophysics, more
Mm.
specifically working with substellar space objects. So those are going to be things that are pretty much smaller than planets, but they might be a little bigger than planets sometimes as well. Things that we can't exactly classify as a star or a planet, essentially. And my main work that got published into two research papers actually recently
Oh wow,
was writing
nice.
Python software that simulates populations of these various substellar planets that we then feed into machine learning models. And these machine learning models, the goal is to eventually just take data directly from telescopes like James Webb Space Telescope and feed it directly and have them just pick out what is a planet and what isn't a planet.
That's
And so, yeah, we got both those published pretty recently, and we're working on a third project now as well. We're working with just straight compressed data from James Webb, and we're not sure exactly what we're going to be doing yet, but we're mainly just trying to deal with unpacking all the data we got. We got, I mean, millions of data points we're dealing with, so it's going to be an exciting project as well.
that sounds really cool. Is that something you kind of want to continue in? Like, I know different people in computer science have different verticals that they want to explore. Like, I think I want to be involved in something more creative, like the music industry. Like, do you want to sorry, specifically focus on like the space industry or something along those lines?
I'll definitely say I'm very open to anything. I would definitely say because I had the amazing experience of making my own startup in Lava Lab and continuing that over the summer, while also working in a really, top-notch quality environment like Caltech as well. I've kind of gotten a nice big breadth of the different experiences that could happen, whether that be like, quick, fast-paced, just me and one other guy building things quick, or working with PhDs, writing code, submitting it, reviewing it, change this, pull request, all of that. I would definitely say I like the space industry. I've learned a lot about astronomy just, from listening to the PhDs and just getting to know the whole realm of it a bit more. But I would definitely be open to doing anything, in private industry or just continuing research as well. I think more importantly than the field is actually just applying my skills in software to build and help that field out. So
Mm,
wherever I can do that, I think I'll be happy.
very nice. I'm gonna pivot a little bit because this is a question that Paul's been asking me lately. How have your first 2 weeks of school been? I feel like they've gone really quick for me, and as a senior, it's kind of daunting to see how fast paced the school year goes. So you're going into your sophomore year, correct?
Right.
How has it been?
It's been amazing. Honestly, I've really enjoyed these first 2 weeks. It's been really great. I mean, my classes, the schedule works really well this year. I'm off Mondays and Fridays,
So
so
nice. I'm
that
jealous.
gives me that's a lot of time to just enjoy, go out, have fun at night, and also, a good amount of time to do homework. Met a bunch of new people.
Mm,
I'm loving my new living arrangement. My roommate's amazing. Everything's great.
that's
Honestly, I can't complain about anything.
You said you like to go out at night. We're not gonna talk about like that kind of going out, but are there any recs you have around LA? Because that's another thing that me and Paul have been talking about. I said that on my senior year bucket list. I want to explore LA a lot more because I feel like I've been in this USC bubble. Are there any recs that you have in the area?
So I'm an LA native, and
Mm.
the way I've lived LA at least is it's a lot more than just a city. So, even once you are here at USC, there's so many things to do within such a close proximity to campus that I mean you will need a car or some kind of transportation, but I think really the main things is definitely go to the beach. That's only an hour away
Wait,
to the
which beach is
west.
your
And
favorite?
if you
Sorry to cut
definitely
you off.
Newport, I mean it's yeah,
Yeah.
no problem. Newport is I mean it's beautiful. It's world renowned. It's one of a kind. So I mean, Newport's just beautiful. And if you're thinking of, just kind of going, just like, have fun, got Santa Monica, Will Rogers State, Venice Beach as well. They're all very close,
Mm.
so any of those work. And if you're into snow sports, once wintertime rolls around, go about an hour east, go up to Wrightwood Mountain High Ski Resort. I've been
Mm.
snowboarding there just about all of last winter. It's amazing. It's super close once you're in LA. And it's great. I mean, if you want, you could do a snow trip and a beach trip in the same day. So that's
Oh,
definitely something I'd recommend. I've done it before
did you see
and
that
it's great.
California challenge where people went to like beach, desert, and mountains in
Yep.
one day? Have you ever
Yep.
done that?
I haven't done the desert part, but I have done just beach snowboard.
How did
So, but
that
definitely,
work?
once you're and
Like, what was your schedule
so
for the
I
day?
started yeah, so I got up early with my bro We went snowboarding first. So we drove from LA, we went east, went snowboarding in the morning, because it would get pretty hot on the beach during, kind of not exactly winter time, but going into spring, just around March, I would say, where snow season was like getting to the end. Uh, yeah, so we went up snowboarding because it's you gotta get all your gear on, sweaty, takes a lot of effort. So we went snowboarding good half the day from I'd say about maybe like 9 a.m. to about 1-ish. And then from there, it was a good 2-hour drive west all the way to the beach because we had to drive past LA and then get to the beach. So by the time we got there, it was like 4 around sunset-ish, but just enough time to like, experience the waves, get in the water, really just relax. We had like a little bonfire. It was great. We had a group of guys who made us there at the beach too, so it was really enjoyable.
That's definitely something I'm gonna add to my bucket list. Are there any other recs you would have for
100%. I can't recommend it enough.
Are there any other recs you would have for a senior year bucket list?
If you've been to Newport and you've been snowboarding, if you like the mountains, definitely check the mountains. You've got Mount Wilson if you like climbing. If you like desert, you got Palm Springs. Definitely Palm Springs trip if you haven't done that yet.
Mm,
Get some friends together, Airbnb, the whole 9 yards. Can't go wrong with a Palms trip. Snowboarding, beach, palms. That's about it, honestly. I mean, if you
yeah.
want, you can start going up north a bit. There's some things you could do, Big Sur, you go down to San Diego. That's another great thing.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, the great thing about LA is beyond just the city itself is how close it is to everything. Like,
Yeah,
if you want to go
totally.
down to San Diego or maybe even like, into Mexico, that's not that far away. If you want to go to the beach, it's super close. Snow, super close. Big Sur, super close.
Mm,
So really make use of how close LA is to everything and don't be afraid to travel outside the city.
totally. I have a car this year, so we'll definitely be making use of it and traveling
That's perfect.
all around the
Very good.
coast if I get time. I don't have Monday, Friday off like you do, but hopefully I can find some time
Yeah.
to wiggle those little road trips in if possible. I also don't want to keep you too long, so I think we can wrap it up right here. Sorry if this was a shorter intro outro, guys. Paul will be back with us next week and he will be in full force asking everyone the questions that you all love. He also will give more admission updates. We obviously didn't cover that this episode because that's his expertise. But thank you again for joining us today, and thank you, Jake, again for hosting this lovely episode. We will see you all next Sunday.